Jay, let's talk about what happens when an agent wants to get help on the buyer side of the transaction.
Okay, great.
Before we have this conversation, let's put it in context. When we talk about getting help in your business, when you've done all you can do and you now want help, we say that you're 3 key hires away from having a millionaire real estate agent team.
That's right.
So the first thing we do is we hire administrative help. We hire an administrative assistant, an executive assistant who could become a
assistant executive.
Yeah, that's right. And if you make the right hire, they will become an assistant executive because they will not only be able to do the administrative work, but they can take total responsibility for all of it, not only doing it, but also hiring the additional help so they can manage those people so that in fact you're only having one administrative person report to you, and that would be this executive assistant.
That's right, which hopefully will become your assistant executive.
There you go.
And they'll let you know, they'll push for that. They want more responsibility.
So your administrative support now has you free to work with all the lead generation, converting to appointments, working with buyers and sellers to get contracts, right?
Right.
Okay, now we look up and we say, okay, I need help on the buyer side of the transaction. I don't want to show buyers anymore, or I don't want to show all the buyers anymore. My first option would be simply to turn to an agent in the office and say, hey, can I pay you a couple $100 to show a buyer today for me, and then I'll get them back, and here you can have a couple $100. That would be my first choice.
Right, part-time as needed help.
Sure. My second choice would be, you know what, I don't want to work with this buyer, or I have too many. Can I give you this buyer and take a referral fee, 20 or 30% referral fee, and you work the buyer, but I still keep the relationship if they want to buy future real estate or refer people.
Right.
Then my third choice would be,
well, hiring a showing assistant is what our research is showing now.
Yeah, that's a little twist on the concept of going from paying hourly rate or referring it to a buyer specialist. There's actually a new trend showing up called the showing assistant. And I say new trend, it's not really new. We just have more and more agents, it appears, are beginning to experiment with this.
Absolutely. And the market has really asked, a lot of people are asking, how can I really manage my bottom line? And the cost of sales is on the buyer side.
Yeah, that's right. So walk me through what a showing assistant might look like. What would they do?
Well, fundamentally, their job description is once you have the signed agreement and you have agreed on the criteria, the wants and needs of the client,
yes,
your showing assistant is going to map routes, help pick homes for them to show,
gotcha,
and then actually drive them around to see them all.
Okay, now
but that's it. It's a very narrow job description,
and
right?
it's an assistant.
That's
it's
right.
a showing assistant. And are they licensed or unlicensed?
Well, it looks like in all of our research that if you're going to cross the threshold in most MLSs, you're going to have to be licensed.
Yeah, right. In other words, if your MLS requires you to use a lockbox to get into the property, then they're going to have to be licensed. Now, if they were showing new homes or if they were showing open houses, they wouldn't necessarily need a license, but you couldn't always be sure that that would be the extent of what they would show.
Right.
Yeah. So you have a licensed individual who comes into your organization or your team as a showing assistant. The lead comes into you, the agent. You qualify them, right? You explain everything to them, and then you say, and now because we have a team, you're going to work with, in this case, if I was the agent, Jay. And Jay is going to work with you while you look at homes. When you and Jay find the home that you want to make an offer on, then I will meet back with you and we will craft that offer and make that presentation to the seller.
Well, I kind of think of it as going from pen to pen. You're going to get that signed agreement, then you're going to pass the baton.
Yeah.
That's the way top agents talk about it. You're going to say, this is my showing assistant, Jay.
Yes.
And here's what he's going to do for you, and I'll be in touch with him.
There you go.
Comes time to write again, you're back in the picture.
Yeah, there you go. And then if that's all going well and you decided later, well, you know what, I don't want to work with sellers either, then we highly recommend that you get a listing assistant.
That's right.
And the listing assistant is an individual who we used to call a listing specialist. The trick, though, is that you can assign them listing duties without the pay or compensation of listing specialist unless they prove they could really do the job. Once they can do the job, they get promoted, and they are now the individual that goes on all your listing appointments. So you have the administrative assistant who becomes an executive assistant who becomes an assistant executive. You have the showing assistant who could become a buyer specialist. And you have the listing assistant who could become the listing specialist.
Right. And at the end of the day, you never have more than about 3 people reporting directly to you.
And that's the goal. And when we say you're only 3 key hires away, what we're saying is that if you make a conscious effort to look for individuals who could apprentice into a leadership role while also being able to do the task roles of each of those jobs, you only have to have 3 positions that report to you in order to have as big a team or as small a team as you want.
That's right. That's awesome.